Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Conscious Life Expo after event with Richard C. Hoagland. Tonight, Richard will be discussing Barack Obama and 2012 and many things that you have never really connected with all of this. First, I'd like to know how many of you have never been to a Richard Hoagland event? Could you raise your hands, please?
Wow.
Everybody here has been to Richard's event. Oh, one person.
No.
Okay.
No, dear. There's lots
There's
of people.
more? I can't see with the lights. Okay. Then I'll give you all a bit of background. Richard was the former science advisor for Walter Cronkite back when all of the Apollo missions were launched. And he was quite young at the time, and it was quite an honor for him to be working alongside Walter Cronkite. So he had a different perspective on all of these missions. And I
like the asymmetry.
Sure, those of you who know his work recognize the impact that made upon what he went on to do. Richard has also, gosh, do I give the whole thing? We won't get started. So Richard has gone on to do extensive research about exoarchaeology. That's archaeology on other planets. And there's his first book, Monuments of Mars, A City on the Edge of Forever. And then we have the latest book, which was just re-released with additional information and images, and that is Dark Mission, The Secret History of NASA. And many of you in our audience are coast-to-coast listeners. Richard's the science advisor for Coast, and he's about to give you really a lot of food for thought. And with all of these events, with everything that you've participated in here at the Expo, we ask that you share the information. You're the ones who are fortunate enough to understand and know what's going on and recognize the need to learn more. So please share the information. So, where are you, Richard?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay. So welcome, Richard.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you, everyone, for, I should probably turn on my mic. Yes, for your patience. I know this setup business is getting to be a pain, and frankly, before I do the next one of these, I'm going to obviously have to do something to make sure that we start on time, because this is not appropriate. This is not professional, and all of that can be edited out. Thank goodness. The magic of videotape. Well, tonight what I'm going to try to do is to not correct the record, but enhance the developing record of the presidency of the 44th President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama. About 2-3 years ago, I made some predictions in public that against all odds, this individual would become the President of the United States, and in fact, that did occur. Now, the mechanism by which I was able to do that is the application to social and cultural engineering of the hyperdimensional physics model. And so I thought it would be useful to continue in that vein to try to tonight perhaps predict some things that you're going to see transpire over the next year, the second year of his presidency, which is going to impact all of us because, of course, Barack Obama is the president who will be president of this nation, of the United States of America, when, in fact, 2012 occurs. And there was a lot of dissension behind the scenes. You're obviously aware that there was some other candidates running a year or so ago. One in particular on the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton, who was supposed to be the president. And when I say supposed to be, from what I'm going to show you in a few minutes, I think you will understand how much importance that word supposed will really take on. Now, what you also need to understand is that I'm going to talk tonight about the special relationship of the nation itself, of the United States of America, to this whole idea of 2012 and some kind of impending change, transition, enhancement, consciousness raising, transcendence, or catastrophe? I mean, the real question is, what is going to happen in 2012? And as I've said on the air many times, 2012 is not really a date. It is a window. Yes, the Mayan calendar ends on the December 21, but that is only the beginning of exploring the various levels of the meaning of this concept, of this idea of a nodal point, of a transitional point, of some kind of fundamental systemic change in the paradigm that the Mayans, as well as some of their catastrophic intimations, have brought to the conversation. So what I'm going to try to do tonight is to give some background, some context, so you can view the politics you're seeing on CNN and Fox and MSNBC and CBS and ABC and all that with perhaps a grander perspective. Because the reason I was successful in predicting that this dark horse candidate who came out of nowhere, who had no experience, no credibility, no published this, no published that, why he is president is in fact the anomaly that is part, in our model, of this enveloping and developing entire 2012 phenomenon. So let's have some fun tonight and let's look at things that no one else seems to be looking at and collect and connect a few dots that will perhaps leave you with a different set of insights as you watch what transpires in the American political system over the next 12 months. And then about a year from now, we'll come back and we'll see how right and accurate we were. It's curious that about a year ago, even before Obama was president, the artist whose opening you saw, who is from Israel, whose name is Rami, and I forget his last name, but he will be on the credits of the DVD, he sent me an email and he said, would you like me to do some artwork? And I said, sure. And he sent me these exquisite representations of some of the things that I've been trying to communicate. Well, that, of course, was months and months and months before the president, with his entourage, went to Cairo, gave that very important Islamic speech defining the new relationship between the United States, the Christian world so-called, and the Islamic world, and then spent a lot of time with Zahi Hawass on the Giza Plateau. In fact, Zahi said later that this was a visit by a head of state that was longer and more in-depth than any he had personally ever experienced. And I'm hoping by the end of this evening that you will understand why. So I thought we'd open with this shot, which I think captures perfectly what I'm trying to communicate, which is that Obama is not just your ordinary guy. Everyone who comes at this, who thinks that this is an ordinary presidency leading into this extraordinary moment of time called the 2012 phenomenon, they are missing the boat. For instance, on the plateau, they found a hieroglyph, a carving, in one of the rock-cut tombs, which looks eerily like Barack Obama. Eerily. Now, in other venues, I have said that Barack is probably the first American pharaoh. And by that, I mean he is bringing to the fore the entire concept of the Founding Fathers as to the role of the presidency itself, a role that has not been appropriate to discuss or unveil or talk about in public until the appropriate time, and this is the appropriate time. So what I found intriguing is that the news coverage of Obama's visit to the Giza Plateau made a special accentuation when he went into this tomb with David Axelrod and some of his other advisors, and they stood for a long time looking at this carved effigy in the literal rock of the rock-cut tomb. And it does make one wonder. For those of you who are into reincarnation, it does make one wonder. So what I'm going to try to do tonight is to put into context the concept of the presidency, a concept that you probably will not have encountered before, and then relate that to the politics that we see every day in mainstream media. And hopefully at the end of the evening you will see that it is by this route that we can gain insights into decisions and policy deliberations and ultimate legislation, which is in process even as we speak. I'm going to start with this. This is a shot from the south lawn of the White House on the other side of the building